When I think of legendary boxers, I think of Muhammad Ali and Lennox Lewis and Mike Tyson and Floyd Mayweather. And I'm just a average guy. And if you were to put me in the ring against any one of those individuals, I would be done in 2 seconds. But what's interesting is that Jesus was a normal guy as well. Jesus was not someone who was considered a warrior or considered a great fighter. He was considered a man who didn't have a lovely appearance or an amazing stature. Now, for a second, I want you to imagine that you are in the ring against one of these legendary fighters and that you've been given a mission by God to last not one round or two, but 12, which means that for 12 rounds lasting several minutes in each, you would have to take blow after blow and try to evade your opponent. Now, I have no doubt that unless you are an athletic phenom that is a professional boxer already, that you would not last 12 rounds. But what's amazing is that Jesus did. Metaphorically, he did. You see, a lot of times when we think about the death of Jesus, we think about it as a momentary event in the sense that someone gets shot and in that moment they die, and maybe they even sacrifice their life by taking on the bullet. But when Jesus died, it was not something that happened in a minute or a moment. It was something that was drawn out. Began with an arrest, and it included torture and sort of a mock trial and all these different things. It included him carrying a cross up a mountain that would have been the distance of 6 football fields. And it climaxes, again, not in a moment, but in a 6 hour period where his body hangs on 3 spikes in a place called Golgotha, meaning that all of his body weight, with the weight of gravity, is pulling down on these spikes. And what's interesting is that every second of that 6 hour period, he just remains on the cross. While people are yelling insults, while the sky is going dark, he just remains. He never throws in the towel. To use a term from the UFC, he never taps out. He just remains on the cross for 6 hours. Now, if you've ever been in a childhood fight, I can tell you that wrestling with another kid or fighting with another kid is a lot more exhausting than playing road hockey. And the reality is that for those who enter into the ring against a Muhammad Ali, you're signing up for a marathon combined with a beating. But this doesn't even compare to what Jesus went through. Jesus had to sit for 6 hours, longer than it would take for any boxing match to finish, and he just endured pain that is on a level we can't imagine. And each minute that he did so, he refused to tap out because he loves you and I. And so here's what I want to tell you. I want to tell you that God's love is perfectly illustrated in Jesus' refusal to throw in the towel despite immense pain, fatigue, exhaustion, all of those things. And the other thing that I want to call you to is for you not to throw in the towel. I don't expect for you to endure the cross that Jesus did in the first century. But what you can do this week is you can endure your suffering with grace, your depression or anxiety or social conflict. In the midst of enduring those things, I pray that you would refuse to throw in the towel and become someone that you don't ultimately want to be. When you have doubts surrounding you and it feels like you're almost being crucified by the doubt circling in your mind, I want you not to throw in the towel, but cling to the truth that you know. Don't give up on God, and don't give up on pursuing holiness. To become sanctified in Christ is incredibly difficult. To walk away from greed and pride and to embrace compassion and humility is so difficult. But this week, as you fight to do that very thing, I pray that you would not throw in the towel even when you make a mistake. You sit down between rounds in the boxing match, you take a deep breath, you regain yourself, and you start a new day where you want to tackle your own sin and you want to look to fight against injustice in the world and never quit while you're doing so. So may you this week do that very thing. Become the fighter that doesn't use fists or weapons, but wages war against the evil inside you and in our wider world.